back to Cars the Yards, a sports car and sports podcast. I'm back with Lou. Lou, how's it going?
It's going good. Going good. A lot of fun activity going on in the sports world.
I mean, if by fun activity you mean injuries right before the MLB season starts and free agency and, Aaron Rodgers claiming that the Packers are holding him back when he's done nothing but do that to them for 4 years. But anyway.
Yeah, that's really exciting, actually.
And, of course, March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
And JT will be on with me in a few minutes to discuss that. But so let's talk about the NFL because right now, quarterback carousel going on, right? Big free agency moves so far. Derek Carr signing with New Orleans. Garoppolo taking his spot with the Raiders. Aaron Rodgers, like I said, basically holding the world hostage and kind of demanding to go to the Jets yesterday, if I'm being honest. Which is probably going to be willed to happen by the media and everyone else. And then the biggest thing, which is a signing but a non-signing in a way, is Lamar Jackson being given a 1-year franchise tag by the Ravens, which he does not have to sign. So now he's shopping around himself.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to get, see what the going rate for him might be. So we'll start there, and there's other stuff going on too, but we'll start there. What do you think of those 4 quarterback situations?
Well, first off with Lamar, since we're talking about him, I definitely thought I was going to see him in a Falcons jersey next year.
Be a good fit.
Seemed like the perfect fit. You have a really, really crappy division, still trying to find their quarterbacks. Tom Brady's no longer in that division. You would definitely be the quarterback of that division. Going to Atlanta, along with some good weapons such as Drake London they added last year, Kyle Pitts coming back, a good running back rookie with Tyler Algier, and a Swiss Army knife of Cordell Patterson. Mm-hmm. That could be a really, really potent offense. But, however, they weren't going to let him go for nothing, so they franchise tagged him, and we're going to see him one more year in the Ravens uniform. And hopefully this time he can play in the playoffs. Because, look, to ask for something in equivalent to, like, Deshaun Watson, and for the last 2 years you've been injured and not being able to carry your team into the playoffs, what does that tell me? That does not tell me to pay this man whatever he wants.
Right.
That goes, maybe we should be a little bit more careful on this situation because he may not be there for the next playoff series.
Right.
I'm not really too high on Lamar, but we'll see what he does this year. Hopefully he can go ahead and say, look, you know what, guys? I'm going to be in the playoffs this year. I'm going to take you guys further than what y'all have gone the last 2 years, and I'm going to show you why I should be guaranteed all this money. So, it's Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's always been a drama queen in my personal opinion. However, he can change the atmosphere and the offense of a team entirely almost by himself. He put together a wish list of, and again, this is a wish list of a couple players, including Lazard, including an old-time friend of his, what's his name? Veteran, small, fast dude. Randall Cobb. Mm-hmm. Randall Cobb and OBJ on his list saying, hey, go out and try to get these guys, and I will more than likely sign with you guys. Immediately that same night, no less than 10 hours later, they signed Lazard.
Yeah.
All right? And he then went ahead and said, hey, look, I intend to play for the Jets. Get your compensation ready, to send over to the Packers. Right now, they're in a discussion of what they want for that, for Rodgers. Now, I think Rodgers kind of screwed him over by saying that because now, Packers are like, hey, I want a first and more.
I just have such a problem with players doing that. Like, I'm not talking about voicing displeasure, but, hold a meeting. You're basically undercutting the team that's trying to get you out of there.
Well, then again, I think the Jets started that by releasing the information of the report of them saying that Aaron Rodgers had a wish list.
Yeah.
So I think he came back and said, okay, well, you want to make me look like the bad guy if I don't sign with you guys. Well, I'm going to make you guys pay for it now.
It'd be interesting if that would be seen as tampering, and then the then there would have to be compensation on top of whatever the trade compensation is.
Mm,
And that
yeah,
would
yep,
be.
yep,
I
definitely.
mean, that
That
might be
could go down.
that might be a route to go and to not make this last
Could go down
forever.
Jimmy G to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy G is equivalent to, like, say, Kirk Cousins. He has the numbers. He can get you wins. He can move an offense. He can get you first downs, and that's what it matters about in the NFL. He can lead a team. Is he a good fit for the Raiders? Possibly. I mean, it looks like the Raiders are kind of rebuilding a little bit. They just shipped Darren Waller out.
Yeah.
They franchise tag Jacobs.
Yeah.
They still have Devontae Adams, which is great. That defense and that O-line is what they need to work. If they can solidify that defense in a something, little couple spots there, and solidify some of that O-line with some high picks, I think that Jimmy G will be fine. Jimmy G coming off an injury, to be running for his life right out the gate, I don't think it's a really good fit.
Yeah.
They didn't break the bank for him though, so that's good. So it allows you to have some more buying power to go into the free agency, and get some other veterans, maybe a veteran O-line, maybe trade for some veteran O-line in there. What else? We have Derek Carr. Derek Carr is an interesting one to me. Derek Carr, I mean, us here in Houston know the Carr brothers really well. And Derek Carr going to New Orleans, I had him either going to New Orleans or the Jets. I mean, even before they started reporting that stuff. Once I figured out they were releasing him, I said, it's either going to the Jets or he's going to New Orleans or possibly Indianapolis. But Indianapolis has tried 3 times in 3 consecutive years to try to bring a veteran in there. And they're just like, this ain't working. So that's why I think they're gonna move up in the draft. But back to Derek Carr. Derek Carr, he has a point to prove. He is really, really, really upset, and he said it in one of his reports that it built a fire underneath me, that the Raiders, for what I've done for them and how much I've stood by their side, would just easily do a part with me. So I think Derek Carr is going to really shine in New Orleans. Now with New Orleans recently signing Jamal Williams in the backfield to go along with Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
And if some of you guys that don't know Jamal Williams broke Barry Sanders' rushing touchdown in a single season last year in Detroit. He was a phenomenal running back, and I'm pretty sure with him and Alvin Kamara in the back as a 1-2 punch, it's going to look really good. Michael Thomas just restructured for 1 more year with New Orleans to show him what he's got. He hasn't played in 2 years because of a bum toe, right? And then also on that side of the ball, I mean, you have Derek Carr, which can sling the rock now, and new wide receiver Chris Olave. Chris Olave last year with Andy and with Taysom showed that he can shine. Now you put a quarterback that can sling the ball and has some type of experience. Oh, I believe Olave is primed to go off. And then at defense side of the ball, you still have Marshawn Lattimore. You still have what's the big fellas on the end? Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. Can't forget his name. I can't say it, but they have a solid defense. I think this year in the draft, New Orleans needs to work on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And Derek Carr needs a defense in order to win. Derek Carr can put up numbers. It's just a matter of keeping that other offense from putting up tons of numbers. Because now when you start putting him in a spot, he kind of, as you see last year, kind of crumbled a little bit. So, I mean, that's my thought on those couple quarterbacks and a little bit of the things going on around the league. But yes, every year it seems like a quarterback carousel.
Sure, because that's like the one position everyone points to, even though, like you said, in the draft it's probably better to focus elsewhere. But the Texans are going to use that top pick on a QB, and that there's probably going to be maybe 2 or 3 other teams that use a first-round pick on a QB this year, and it's almost like they panic. Like we have to get a quarterback.
To the number 1.
Yeah.
All right. So the Bears dropped down to number 9. I forgot what number, but they're still in the top 10. Now we know they're definitely not going to QB. So you have Carolina that is saying, "Hey, look, we're not sold on keeping this number 1 pick. We might actually trade it away and get some more for this.
Yeah.
Because they did just sign, what's his name, to QB? I think it was the guy with the Commanders from last year, Heineke, I think. I think went there. And then they just signed Miles Sanders as a running back. We're going to see. Then again, do the Texans with the number 2 pick take a quarterback? Yes, if it's not somebody Bryce Young, I wouldn't take Bryce Young. I'd take CJ Stroud. He's just built. He doesn't look fragile. And CJ Stroud, I think, would be a perfect fit for the Texans. But now the question is, what do you do with Davis Long-Neck Mills?
I would make an offer to Lamar Jackson. Just saying. Just see.
Do you
see
think
what,
Lamar wants to come to a team that's in full blown out rebuild?
I think that the head coach is going to draw in some players. Whether that's now or in 3 years, I don't know. But I think D'Amico Ryans is going to have the ability to draw in some players. And also, with Lamar Jackson, it's not necessarily about the situation. It's about the money. Because if you're the Ravens, you're pretty much toast if you have to replace him. Because he has given you like this leeway for 5 or 6 or 7 years, or however long he's been in the league, where you don't really have to have the best offensive line and the best running back because he is the ultimate weapon.
So if you're the Texans and the Texans
I would just
front
throw an
office,
offer.
would you go ahead and, hey Ravens, here's a 2nd overall pick. We want Lamar.
No, but that's
Are
the
you
thing.
taking that?
But that's the thing. His franchise tag allows him to seek
Yeah.
a deal somewhere else, and they have the opportunity to match it.
Okay.
I don't know what the compensation is, but it's not a trade. There might be a compensation involved once you franchise
Might.
someone, but no.
Then again, do you take on that big, huge contract with Lamar that hasn't proven himself yet in the playoffs, or do you go ahead with a 1st-round rookie quarterback that's going to save you tons of money in the first 5 years because you pick up their 5th-year option if you choose to, and use all that money elsewhere to build around that build around that player?
I wish that they had gotten Carr, to be honest, because then
I could have seen him here too.
because then you're not gonna rely on a 3rd-string caliber player, and then
Joe.
you're not relying on you're not. I would rather invest in offensive line and defense with the 2nd pick, and the other 1st-round pick we have, and then just build this thing. Especially with D'Amico Ryans building a defense here
It's
now.
going to take him about 3 or 4 years to get this team right.
But yes, right now, in all honesty, throwing $30 million a year on a quarterback would be a waste, and a 2nd pick overall may be a waste too. So I don't know what they do, but they should have jumped on one of these mid-level quarterbacks.
If the Texans
either
don't
Garoppolo or
take
Carr.
if the Texans don't take a quarterback in this 1st round here, or at least get a good amount of draw for the rest of, for this year and next year, then it's complete waste. Hopefully, D'Amico can go ahead and say, hey, look, this is what we need to do with the 2nd overall pick. I mean, C.J. Stroud could be a good fit. I mean, he's sturdy. He can throw the ball, but then again, look at dude from Florida,
Yeah.
Richardson.
Yeah.
Richardson's got a cannon too, but then again, let alone we don't want to just lean on the cannon the size of the arm. Look at Russell from the Raiders. Remember, he had a cannon. He could throw about 80 yards, but he didn't know how to read defenses. He couldn't play QB. He just had an arm.
And remember, Brady was a 5th-round pick, and Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. So
Yep. So we'll see how that turns
not
out.
that that'll ever happen again. But
Yeah.
real quick, because you're a Cowboys fan, thoughts on cutting Zeke?
I'm happy, but I'm not happy.
Yeah. They're treating him like he's a 59-year-old man when he's 27, but that's the life of a
But
running
he's
back.
running like a 59-year-old man.
Well, that's the life of a running back, man.
Look, don't get me wrong. I love my Cowboys. Put me through a lot of heartache throughout the years. I love me some Zeke. However, at the end of the day, this is a business that's ran.
Sure.
And Jerry Jones and that whole front office has to make business moves in favor of the organization versus one single person. So if that means letting somebody go that is the face of a franchise that's been there for the last 7 years to make sure that this franchise and organization gets better, then that's what you got to do. And Zeke just did not have that spunk like he did in his first 4 years. You could definitely see him going down. Tony Pollard definitely outshined him last year. At best, Zeke was a 2 to 3 yard power back that can get you that first down if you needed it. You did not see that zip coming out of the hole like
Right.
Pollard did, or on the outside. Catching out the backfield wasn't the greatest. If he would have just took that reconstruction deal of possibly 10 year,
Sure.
10 million for 1 year, then yeah, I would have paid the man, but not 19 million.
I know.
I would have not paid him 19 million to stay in there and just
I mean-
get me 2 to 3 yards every once in a while.
Unfortunately, it seems like running backs are cannon fodder for a lot of teams. Like you're not really gonna see running backs get those huge deals they used to because you can just find another one.
Yeah, and also nowadays the league is so quick now. You have defensive tackles and edge rushers running 4.5, 4.6s now. So getting to the outside really does not matter as much as
No.
it used to. What it's starting to become a league of is a running and catching back like Eckler, like Kamara, like Pollard. It's starting to become that, and it's also becoming a double-headed dragon in the back. A lot of these teams are going to a double running back type of deal here, so that you don't beat down on these guys. I mean, ask some of the old guys that used to play in the league, like Emmitt Smith and Herschel Walker and all those guys, and they'll tell you, 5 years takes a big toll on you.
Hey,
But
Barry
now
Sanders
these players can last almost double the amount now.
Barry Sanders knew what he was doing when he got out.
Yeah, and he
early.
got out. He knew it
He can
because
still
they
walk.
relied on that run. They
Yeah.
relied on it. But I think we're making all the right moves. I have a feeling that the Cowboys are going to try to shoot for Bijan. If Bijan falls to, if the Cowboys can move up into the middle of the pack, maybe 12 to 13, and hopefully, I'm fearing that Philly's gonna at pick number 9 is gonna take Bijan because they just released Miles Sanders. So, not released, but they let him walk. So if the Cowboys can get to it, I'm pretty sure the Cowboys will go ahead and take Bijan Robinson if he's available on the board. Simple as that. And then they're going to go after. They're going to tackle OT, offensive tackles and linemen. We are solid on defense. We just picked up who is it? Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore from the Colts for a 5th-round pick. Now we have 2 shutdown ball hawk corners. That defense is going to be tough. It's going to be hectic come football season for a lot of offenses playing. Our defensive line is nasty. And we have some corners now. So I'm not saying that this is our year. I never say that, but I'm saying it's looking a lot better than last year.
Right.
The question is, who do you replace if you don't get Bijan? Which running back do you go ahead and replace into that backfield with Tony Pollard? Because remember, Tony Pollard is coming off of surgery from that broken fibula. So it's going to take him a little bit to get
grab
back
someone that you find interesting with like an attribute or two in the 3rd or 4th round.
Adrian
That's
Peterson?
what you do. No, you draft a young guy.
Yeah, you could draft someone,
Maybe he
But you definitely want to draft a veteran as well. I'm not draft. You definitely want to get a veteran in there as well too, in case Pollard can't go come week 1.
Well, there's always cut week. I mean, they're going to play some preseason games, and there's going to be cuts, and there might, be a veteran running back pop up.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So since we're having all this football talk, Panini Prism Football just came out. One of the biggest releases every year.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Panini Prism just came out yesterday, and it's been pretty good. One of the big things, two of the big things that you're going to see about this year is, number one, the price. The price is damn near slashed in half at $650 a box, compared to last year when it was $1,100, and the year before that was $1,050 or $1,000. And also the quality. The quality this year is so much better, and I think they took a little bit more pride in this year when it came to the quality of the cards, because this year marks their 10-year anniversary on when they took over the NFL licensing in 2012. So their design is paying a little bit of homage to their 2012 design, and with a couple flashback inserts that kind of bring you back to those type of designs there. They're new this year. Not new this year, but this year they kept the whole cool little inserts with the mangas. The mangas are, to say the least, phenomenal. I mean, these things are great. They still have the color blast. They have some other new inserts that are in there. This is also Tom Brady's last playing season in the set of Prism. We're probably going to see him now on those historic cards, the legends and things like that. Like
Yeah.
you see Peyton Manning and John Elway on, and that's going to be kind of weird, but we're going to have to get used to it. But he's making his first appearance in baseball.
Yeah.
Bone draft, right?
Hey, and speaking of baseball, we got the World Baseball Classic going on. There was kind of a surreal moment where the Astros were playing a tune-up game against Venezuela, and Jose Altuve got a hit, and all the fans were noticeably conflicted because, like, yeah, our guy got a hit, but it was against our team, but just exhibition, so that was fun. And
Didn't he put like a back-to-back over the fence against the Astros?
yeah, he did.
First swing.
Yeah. And he's on Venezuela, who's currently undefeated, and he's joined by Acuna, Miguel Cabrera, and Salvador Perez, among others. So they got a good team. Unfortunately, Puerto Rico, which is another hotbed of talent, Edwin Diaz for the Mets, Mets closer,
Yes.
injured, joining a team celebration, like jumped up about 6 inches off the ground once, blew his knee out, torn patella tendon. So
And he just signed a big extension with the Mets, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the Mets right now are scratching their heads.
they're scrambling.
yeah.
They are scrambling.
And
But
this is what happens. You
Yeah,
know, it
does.
happens, and this is what professional teams fear the most. And not to change the sport again, but this is why football and the Pro Bowl went to flag football.
yeah,
Or they went to less contact type deals, such as the challenges and stuff like that, to make it more exciting. Because of injuries like this happens.
you remember Robert Edwards, that debacle?
No,
So-
Edwards,
So
Grimy.
when they were doing the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, they had a rookie flag football game in the sand. He was the Patriots running back at the time. Still blew his knee out.
What year?
This was probably like
90s?
maybe like 98, 99.
Oh yeah, I don't recall that.
Right, but I mean, but injuries can happen anywhere.
It does.
And celebration injuries have happened a few times in baseball.
It happens. I mean,
It happens.
But this is why a lot of professional teams don't want them
Don't do that.
participate in things like this. Now, some will say that the World Baseball Classic means more to them because this has the momentum and the excitement like the FIFA World Cup. Not on that type of level, but it's pretty close. You know,
Well,
we're
yeah.
talking countries
Yes.
that have a lot of pride in their baseball teams, especially Puerto Rico, and for them to lose somebody like that is really, really huge. Just going into now the actual play, you know, they're out of the pool. Everybody's made it in the quarterfinals. Whoever's advanced. This is tough for the Mets and also Puerto Rico right now. Like they're both sides are scrambling.
Yep. It is a fun tune-up going into the season. Kind of take a break from spring break and or from spring training and watch the World Baseball Classic. And speaking of, you are getting more Top Series one?
Oh
back in
yes,
soon?
yes.
Yeah.
I went downstairs looking for it just a moment ago because I
Yeah.
was really excited. We are getting some more Top Series 2023 Series 1 hobby boxes. No jumbos, unfortunately. However, we will be getting a good amount of the regular hobbies in. And you know, after our first wave of 140 boxes that we went through in 5 days,
Yeah.
this is good for customers because I still have customers calling and still coming up here and asking, "Do you have any of the Top Series 1?" And I unfortunately have to say no. But if you guys are watching this, please come on up here, give us a buzz, check in with me and see if we have any more left. I think it's arriving here soon, probably tomorrow. But hopefully you guys can grab yourself a box. Very, very affordable. The super short prints are really nice. They're easier to see now because they're now in gold. Yeah,
Much more rare.
much more rare, but they're awesome looking now.
Yeah.
The Topps logo's gold, and then on the back you got the big SSP in gold. It's pretty
And
neat.
they did it for all 330 cards, right?
All SSPs, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's pretty cool, man.
I mean, chasing the SP and the SSP and the Ultra SP or whatever they called it was fun, but it was hard to tell.
You
It,
had
it
to
was
squint.
like
You're like, oh,
it's like
that's the
size
number.
4 font on the back, and you had to
Not even
Google.
that size, like 0.5. Dude.
You had to Google the code, and it was ridiculous. So
You had to remember the code, like, okay, 457. Okay, 457. You go through thousands of cards of 457. You're like, oh man, none.
yeah,
Now it's easier.
and then that, and I know people are chasing like Adley Rushman and some other rookies, so that's always fun.
I
And
believe
that'll heat up.
it's landing Monday,
Yeah.
possibly tomorrow, Friday. I'm hoping it lands Monday,
Okay.
so I can be here for the awesome pulls with you guys. So.
And then, so something non-sports, Ultra Avengers, Fleer
Ooh,
Ultra,
my favorite.
It does say Fleer Ultra, right?
It is Fleer Ultra Fleer Ultra.
Well, Ultra
Avengers.
Fleer Ultra.
Yeah,
I was
same
just,
thing.
I was just wondering if they weren't going to mention Fleer, but I think they've embraced the fact that Upper Deck.
I know
consumed
Ultra's
Fleer.
on there. I know it says
Yeah.
Ultra because I looked at it, but yeah, go ahead. I mean, these are awesome cards.
So one thing is 80 point, nice
nice
card.
and thick.
Reminds me of Flare. And the art reminds me of masterpieces. This what's big for comic fans, and this goes for the 90 card base set only, but it's original art. So they hired and paid artists,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the artwork is spectacular.
Oh, it is. I see some retro. I see some more current. It looks really, really good.
And what's hilarious is a selling point, or I should say, like a lightning rod for most comic collectors, is Venom's tongue, which is just weird to me. But like, if the artist gets it right, people go crazy over it, and if it gets it wrong, it just distracts. So the Venom card is highly sought after right now. Thanos,
They got sketch cards in there now too, which are
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and but those are so tough now. They're like 1 in 2 or 3
They
cases.
They are.
But old favorite Jambalaya is back.
Oh, the Jambalaya, yeah. They have
you
some
got-
beautiful inserts. The chess pieces. You seen the chess
The
ones
chess
yet?
pieces are amazing. The big one, and they go up a tier and piece. So pawns are like 1 in 16 packs, I
Yeah.
think. The kings are 1 in 720. King villain is Thanos, and King hero is Captain America. But
I got a pawn and I got Kang. I think I got Kang. I'm not sure. Can't remember. No, I got the dude that was Guardians of the Galaxy first villain. What was his name? He had the power
oh,
stone.
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser. That's the one
Yeah.
I got, and I got him on a pawn.
Okay,
Pretty
yeah.
neat. I'll show you.
They're
Really nice.
and again, those are also 80 point. But and then they have Ultra Power. They have like the Star Power Supreme,
this
which
thing
are
is
Ace of
loaded.
Eight. It's loaded.
Like it is, and we do have a good amount in stock, and we bought them down to $300 a box. I mean, it's. I mean, I think it's a fair price.
And I don't know if you were collecting back in '95,
No, it
but
wasn't.
they used to have a parallel called Flare Ultra Medallion, and so that's where that medallion sets come from. Beautiful like silver cards, but
looked that up. I
I
haven't
think
seen
they
that
have
one.
5 parallels. The gold are numbered out of 199, look amazing. But of course,
Oh, I see. I know which one you're talking about. Yes.
and I like the fact on these because I think we had this conversation about both Spider-Man and X-Men, which were metal sets, but you couldn't really tell on the parallels. Like, is this a gold parallel? Is
Yes.
this yellow? Is this gold? This one, and some people are kind of divided online about the amount of foil streaks. I like it. The green parallels that you get 1 per pack, I think that's beautiful. And then you have like blue and red and burgundy, and then of course 1 of 1. It's loaded, man. It really is.
I like it. It's actually one of my
interesting-
favorite one of my favorite boxes so far this year.
And it's Avengers, but of course they snuck in,
Dude,
Venom and Spider-Man and,
I'm-
off branching.
But if you go through the storyline of Avengers, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they run into. I mean,
Sure.
pretty much it's Marvel.
Yeah.
Avengers is just a really good way to get people to be like, oh, Iron Man, and they go search for him. That has everybody in there, man. I've seen some names I forgot were even in Marvel, and I'm just like, oh wow, that's so cool. So
Have you seen anyone pull a comic cover yet? Because those throw people for
Yes.
a loop.
I pulled a couple of them. I pulled 4 of them, and they got 3 comics on them.
No.
No? Oh.
These may be case hits, but they're basically, they take Avengers 1 through 108, and it's a card with a cover on it, but it's serial numbered to that cover. So there's a 101 cover number 1 out there somewhere. But when you open the pack, and this definitely reminds me of some of the gimmicks they did like in the late 90s, early 2000s. When you open a pack, it's in a sealed black bag.
Oh wow.
So I don't think anyone's brave enough out there to like sell it blindly or buy it blindly, because everyone I've seen, they immediately like there's a sticker and they unfold it and tear it open.
You know you got something huge.
You know you got something big, yeah.
Oh, well, looks
So
like I'll be
that-
busting up another box.
Yeah, I mean there's a ton going on there, but great set, really beautiful cards. 80 point, which is they fit in 100-point top loaders.
Yep, they're beautiful cards, nice and thick. The artwork, like you said, is really really nice.
Yeah.
I love the vintage cards that they have in there. I like all of them. I haven't seen a single card I don't like.
Oh, and then they have the animation cells, but they have a parallel of the animation cells that are signed in red ink, only numbered out of 13. So
That's nice.
those are a
I
big
did get
chase.
one of those of Hawkeye, but not like autographed.
Yeah. And then they also have numbered out of 63 gold autographs.
one of those.
Those are nice.
I got one of those in the same
Very
box
nice.
too. What a
Yeah.
sketch art, which was pretty awesome.
And then of course all the medallion parallels and all that. So they borrowed there's an amethyst, which is like, kind of neon purple. Not serial numbered, but it's a case hit. So they kind of borrow that from like the way that like Select does zebra
Yeah.
in football and WWE and stuff, where it's like people know that they're valuable, but it's not necessarily numbered, or you wouldn't know that if you didn't know what to look for. But
I mean, I guess
so there's all
more
kinds
than
of
one
bonus
box
hits.
then, so I
Yeah.
can see some of these other color parallels and other neat stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple Easter eggs in there.
I felt
sure.
after doing a box at $300, I actually felt satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of the hits, but also because of the just how thick the cards were, the quality of the cards. I felt like I got enough for my $300, and then of course after seeing the hits, I'm like, yeah, I got way over enough.
Yeah.
But just I felt more satisfied than anything, and we rarely feel that nowadays when we open a big box. There's some boxes that are $300 that only have 6 cards in them, and you're hoping for a big one. But this
Yeah.
one has nice thick cards. I think there's like 6 cards per pack and like 10 packs or something like that. So it was very satisfying to finally open one of these boxes after hearing about it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. If you guys need to, just come on up here and then grab yourself a box, and I'm pretty sure you'll be satisfied. One of us will sit down and help you go through some of your hits and, kind of school you up on what you should do next with the card.
And then also you got still Panini Player of the Day for NBA, going through what, April 1st?
Yeah, we have Panini Player of the Day for NBA coming up. So you come in, you buy anything other than a cello pack, which can be like a hanger, a blaster box, a hobby box of that sort. We have, of course, the rules that we can go over as well with you when you come in during those days. And then you go ahead and you get 2 packs of Panini Player of the Day for basketball. And you also get your name written on the drawing. The drawing will take place with Victoria, and Victoria will draw, but the big grand prize is a 25% off shopping spree, along with some other goodies from Panini's Player of the Day, which I don't know the exact contents, but they've never failed when it came to giving a nice little package of that sort. So once the Panini Player of the Day starts, you guys can come in here, and then we can get that thing going and get your free packs and get your name on the drawing and shoot your shot.
Absolutely. Well, Lou, thanks as always, and we'll be back with JT talking about March Madness. Hey, welcome back to Cars of the Yards. I'm Mark here along with JT. How's it going?
What's up? It's been a little while.
Yeah, been a little while. Saw you at the TriStar show not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it's March Madness. What do you think of the tournament?
Without any spoilers, because I know this will come out in a little bit, I think, one, just the bracket seating itself has been
Sure.
very interesting, and kind of, obviously, there are major missing teams that turned down the NIT even.
What do you think about that clump of Texas teams in the Midwest?
I think for the region here, it's going to make for a very entertaining tournament, and it's probably going to bring more eyes, honestly, to the tournament. You'll still have, just because you have Houston A&M and Texas that are at some point going to play.
It's just kind of unfortunate that they can't even meet, in the Final Four in Houston. Although you apparently think Houston's going to get beat out, in the first round, which happens pretty much hours before.
If it's going to happen to
after
somebody, it'll be
recording it.
Houston.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they're going to go to the final. I mean, if they do, it's great.
Well, a lot of it depends
Home
on
turf,
Sasser.
but they're injured and they're not where they were.
But Sasser has a muscle pull, and from WebMD says a muscle pull can last from 2 days to 6 months.
That's
So
why you don't
figure that
trust
one out.
WebMD. Yeah.
No, I know, but they were saying based on the grade sprain, which they're of course not going to release to the media.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
think at this point you would do that. But we have already had our first upset.
Yep.
A 13 beat a 4. Furman beat Virginia. Man, I thought, Furman was down 4 points with about 20 seconds to go. They missed a shot. They got a hustle rebound. Guy went up for a dunk. Fouled real bad. Made both free throws, and then Virginia turned it over. And then Furman comes down and goes up. Stayed up. So
March Madness.
March Madness.
Yep.
Another close game was Maryland, West Virginia. Maryland squeaked by I
Yep.
think 2 points. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean it's up in there. It's not, the parity on the men's side has been here for a long time. On the women's side, man, it's not like it used to be where like the number ones would just march straight to the Final Four. So it's going to be interesting. Both tournaments are going to be really interesting.
Are you saying
Tons of
women's
good
are not
basketball.
marching straight to the Final Four?
The number ones.
Well, South Carolina is.
Well, South Carolina is, yes.
My
but,
bracket has South Carolina. If they could play every
but-
team, they would be.
But it used to be when you filled out a bracket, you would just take the highest seed.
Yeah, yeah,
And you would have
yeah.
like 95%. You can't do that anymore.
yeah.
Now with men's, it's always kind of been up in there, but more so recently. I mean,
Well,
we
definitely
we
more
already
so
we
recently.
already had the the
We've
16
had a lot of
win
outliers.
a couple years ago.
Yep.
It seems like 15's winning are common, 13's, 14's. So what do you think about? So let's go over the 12-5 matchups because those are usually where the upsets occur, right? I mean, historically, I don't know if they're going to pull it off, but Charleston's pretty close with San Diego as we record this. I did pick Charleston to beat them. And then you have Oral Roberts and Duke. I think Duke will take care of them fairly easily.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
It's not the Duke of Pass, but I think it's still Duke. They'll have that one. I have San Diego State.
And
Pretty
then
locked in for that one. Go Aztecs. Kawhi Leonard, alma mater.
what do you think about Drake in Miami?
I have Miami, 100%. I'm also a Miami fan.
Not a Drake fan?
Not a Drake fan
Of the music or the basketball? Or both?
either.
Either. Okay, that's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. I do have Miami, but I wasn't upset that people picked the Drake upset over it.
Now, what
As a
about
realistic fan?
Now we always have this in college basketball where you'll have like, a Cinderella darling, and then 3 to 5 years later their favorite, and you have that in the West with the 12-5, VCU and St. Mary's.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah,
St.
I
Mary's
mean they
only lost
had
5 games, so
yeah. I have St. Mary's, but everyone's thinking of the Shaka Smart VCU team.
Yeah.
So anything March Madness. That's your answer to most of these questions. March Madness.
yeah. So on the regions as a whole, who do you got coming out for your Final Four?
I had Marquette in the East. I had Alabama in the South. I'm thinking of the bracket I just did here. I did have. See, here's when I get into my homer side over here because I
Yeah.
have Miami and Illinois split between the Midwest and West. I would love for Miami and Illinois to come out, but I think it's going to be Kansas out of the West. Even though I think as a fun bracket I had a Marquette Gonzaga final. But realistically, I'll go Kansas. And who did I have from the Midwest? I had.
We know it wasn't the Cougars, so
It wasn't the Cougars. I put some of those in a realistic one. Man, now I'm trying to think. I want to say it was Xavier. I had Texas A&M beating Texas. I don't know if we'll go into this further, but I want to say it was Xavier beating Houston. Yeah, we'll go with that. Why
And
not?
Who do you have taking the whole thing?
I had Marquette.
Okay.
Milwaukee, baby. Why not? Wake them up.
Well, I will apply homer status to the Midwest bracket. I'll take Houston,
Yep.
and then Kansas coming out of the West, but
There's
I
a
think
big
they're overrated.
asterisk. Yeah, I agree.
Like, part of me wants to take UCLA.
Yeah, that was my
Um,
number 2, yeah.
And then on the other side of things, East, maybe a bit of a stretch since Coach K left not too long ago, but Duke. And then Alabama, and Alabama versus Houston, and Houston avenges their loss to Alabama, and they win. So that's what I got. But look, it's fun. It's just fun. And U of H, their whole thing depends on is Marcus Sasser healthy? Their coach is going through some stuff, so you gotta maintain focus. A Houston team is not used to being told by so many media outlets that they're favored
They're
to
the one, yeah.
go straight to the Final Four and play in front of the home crowd over here in Houston, Texas. So, look, it's gonna be fun. It's already fun. It just started today. Games. I love Thursday and Friday because games just go
All day.
seemingly all day and night. The weekend's also fun, and then the women start tomorrow, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna be good.
I'm excited to see what happens, what shakes out.
Absolutely. And then speaking of baseball, y'all got a basketball break coming up, so just go to the Adventure Begins website.
Yep.
And
we'll have a
check that
NBA
out.
break at the end of March Madness as one of the. So we're doing basically our March Madness event. It already kicked off. We did our brackets, but it's something to definitely pay attention to for next year. And next year we also plan on kind of entering that mid tournament bracket as well. So some of the people who maybe missed the first week or so of bracket turn in from Selection Sunday until Wednesday when the play-in games were. So it's a small window. We want to try and grow it so we can get more people involved. We had about 30 something brackets, so it was very popular for everyone who was in here. But we have punch cards as you come throughout March Madness. And the final prize is a spot in an NBA break, and it's right after the tournament concludes. The date will be posted online exactly with the time, so go check us out there. Yeah, the March Madness event was awesome. Tons of brackets turned in. I mean, obviously, 99% at Houston going the whole way.
Yeah.
But we had some massive outliers that were fun to take a peek at.
Did you pick up any strategies? Like sometimes people like to pick teams with all dog mascots or all
Yes.
cat mascots. Or all
We
cats and
spent
dogs?
about an hour with one of our employees from downstairs who Richard and I were going over, and the thought process behind a lot of these picks were absolutely phenomenal. And Rich and I both put one in on ESPN just in case, because it was so out there, and 100% had Furman beating Virginia, and I don't remember the reasoning why. It wasn't just a pure underdog list. It was actually location, mascot, and personal history based, and it was phenomenal. So,
Okay.
but that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun of it.
Oh, absolutely. I always favor the ones that pick all dogs.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it has happened. I mean, especially with Gonzaga being good recently.
Mm-hmm. What do you do for the non-dog mascot teams, though?
I mean, I think there's enough typically out of the 64 teams.
I'm just looking
To get
here,
all
and I'm not
dogs.
seeing, I know there are, but there's not a huge amount.
Well, you just skip them in favor of the dogs. I mean, you just put the
dogs going all the way.
There's got to be
Yeah.
at least one dog mascot in each
That's
of
fair.
these regions for sure. So March Madness going on, all these breaks going on. So get up here. You'll have March Madness on the TVs. We got baseball around the corner, hockey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I never get to talk about hockey.
I'm my team made a lot of massive trades
Yeah?
this season,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Did you watch
home
the?
video?
Did you watch the Big City Green Classic? We had it on
absolutely-
TV. I had to show everybody about it
I
because they're
absolutely
like, "What is
did.
this?"
You can still watch it on Disney
Still
Plus.
can.
They
I
put it on
agree.
Disney Plus. They did a quadruple simulcast
Yep.
on Disney Channel, Disney XD, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus. I enjoyed the fact that they had Bill and Grandma in goal, and I admire the ability of the announcers to remember what players that Cricket and Tilly were representing
yeah.
at all times, and and the announcers were in full motion capture
Yep.
suits. So
Yep.
credit to them. I mean, they had a whole crew just for that. I think the regular game was on ESPN.
It was ESPN Plus or ESPN. Yeah,
but
they were.
If you're a fan of Big City Greens, they also had a poster for Groblins 5 in the back, and then Wholesome Foods, which is the rival grocery store,
Yep.
was the sponsor of the Zamboni. I also enjoyed some of the interviews they did.
Some of the ones, I
And
think it was like second period, and it was
Yeah.
just the game's still being played, and the camera just pans over, and it's Driver Dave. I've never seen the show,
Okay.
so
funny.
but it was Driver Dave coming down. He's like interviewing him,
Yeah.
and like games being played, and they just totally go away from it. It was hilarious, and he's coming down like the on ramp, and he's like, there's a hockey. What are all these hockey players and animals doing in the road? And it shows this truck driving
Yeah.
down the road and then like dodging all these people and going back. It was fun, and I think it's a great way of, if it does. I mean, it's an innovative, obviously, deal and gets younger kids into sports, watching sports, something that one they can possibly relate more to while enjoying, the sporting factor. So I mean, they're pulling all the stops, and
Yeah.
it's Disney and ESPN. They're all owned,
Yeah.
so they can spread that to a lot of IPs if they want to. Who knows?
Yeah, and if you don't know, I mean, graphically, it probably looks somewhere between like a Wii game and a Switch game.
Yeah, it
something
looks
that.
like a
But-
kids NHL 2009 game.
Right, but it was impressive because I mean, it's
It
like
was, yeah.
animated live.
Yep.
You know, with player tracking, and like I said, they were able to get more in depth with the announcers.
Yeah.
But because it was basically just some overlay tracking on the players,
Yep.
and they had segments where they teach you what icing was and about the rules.
I
and-
love the ref
Oh.
being just a chicken.
The-
That was
yeah.
phenomenal. Anytime he went up and was
Yeah.
in the real game, we had both on. It was like, crush it or like tripping.
Yeah.
2 minutes, and you look at this screen, it's just like, bah, 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 bah. It
Yeah.
explains absolutely nothing. I'm like,
And
this
then-
is exactly what we need.
Oh, and then you haven't seen the show, but the guy that was standing kind of guarding the penalty box is Vasquez. He's
Yeah, the
voiced.
big with the handlebars.
He's voiced by Danny Trejo.
I was gonna say, but
yeah,
that was
he's
my guess.
He's Remy's bodyguard. So
I like that.
it was pretty fantastic. Well, thanks for talking about March Madness and
Yeah.
a little bit of hockey in
Of
there.
course.
And we will wrap it up with that. So I just remember to check out Adventure Begins for all these basketball breaks that are coming up. And word of the day, we were talking about the Avengers Ultra.
Okay.
So acetate is just a see-through card.
Just a
on
see-through
plastic.
card.
Sometimes layers, sometimes not. But
I think some companies do them better than others.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of the Upper Deck with its Fleer Ultra and the hockey acetates.
yeah.
But Illusions is one of my low-key favorite football and basketball sets, and they're pretty acetate heavy. So
Yeah.
and quality.
They have
may
like
vary.
clearly Don Russ and all that stuff, but
Yep,
that's the
yeah,
word of the day. So until next time, thanks to Lou,
Yep.
thanks to JT. I've been Mark, and this has been Cards to Yards.
Well, gang, that's all for today's episode. So join us next week. Cars to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium, and the adventure begins. Again, we're located off 1488 and Woodland Square Boulevard. See you next time.